Hey guys, this is Mark. I run the Robotron 2084 guidebook site. You might have seen me in Chasing Ghosts. I'm one of the geeks typing on the TRS-80 color computer. And I'm the goofball in that Nibbler documentary you might have seen on Netflix. So I want to show you a little project I've been working on. And this is a Warlords cocktail machine. It's homemade, it's got a Raspberry Pi in it. But people might have you believe that 1982 to 1984 was the only time that really counted in arcade game history, and let me tell you, that's totally not true. 1975 to 1980 was really good. So, Warlords was a 4-player game using spinners that came out in 1980, which would have been the same time frame as Berserk, Defender, and Pac-Man. These things are really expensive. I played this in a skating rink. You know, before the arcades of 82 to 84, skating rinks were a big deal. They were a place where you could go and hang out with friends and play arcade games. And then before that, it was the bowling alleys with the pinball machines. So there's a lot of history prior to that glorious era. This thing is homemade. It's 32 inches tall. It's 28 inches from there to there, and it's 18 inches wide. It just has an LCD, and I'm going to turn it on here. Got some controls over here, just a light switch. I'll fire it up. And I loaded some pictures off of Google, so it comes up with random pictures each time. Once it boots, it's booting the Raspberry Pi right now. It boots up into the screen, and let me get it started on Warlords. Give it some credits. Alright, this is what it looks like. This is a Dell computer monitor. And when you play it, if you aren't familiar with this game, you're basically that shield or a knight trying to protect your king and the castle walls from this devious dragon's fireball that bounces all over. A lot of fun. 4 people can play. It gets into a lot of strategy and it gets really fast. So with that, let me show you some of the internals in this. It's just a Raspberry Pi. We'll open it up here. And I didn't do anything fancy with the setup. I did put a red Halloween light in there. And it gives it kind of a nice fire effect. You'll see that I put some plexiglass in there, and we'll look at it in a little bit. There's a Raspberry Pi 3. Has like an 8 gig SD card in it. Just a power strip from the hardware store. An outlet from the hardware store. Some $11 speakers from Walmart. And this is where the magic happens. This is an Ultimark APAC, or it's an analog interface. Kind of, you probably know about the iPac, or you've heard of the zero delay. This one does analog. So it takes some potentiometer inputs and turns them into joystick axes. So you can put 5K potentiometers, and I've got 4 of them, and it turns it into an XY for joystick 1 and 2, and that's where you get the controls. There are some caveats with using a Pi 3 for this. Let me get this door closed. I had to use advanced MAME to do the spinners or the paddles, and because of that, it doesn't want to boot properly into a single game ROM. I'm not sure why, but it errors out. So I did have to clamp a little controller here so you can navigate the original screen. Another caveat is the advanced MAME doesn't hold the dip switch settings, like for free play. So I did have to put a credit button on it, and that's just a standard, you can't really see it in there, but it's a light switch that came from the hardware store. That's a vinyl sticker I got off of eBay. I asked a little vinyl shop down the street to print a Warlords marquee, and I did put it under the plexiglass. They did a little custom setup here on the overlay. They took one off of Google and modified it. Then they put the picture in the middle. I did change the buttons a little bit so left or right-handed players could play depending on where they wanted to play. The kids like to play it based on the color. They like certain colors of these things. And another caveat, using that LCD, this side, the viewing angle isn't quite as good as that side. And that's just the nature of using the computer monitor. If I had used an actual Wells Gardner cocktail flat panel, you would have gotten really good side angle viewing, and that'd be superior, but that's like $225 or something like that. So that was a little outside my budget, and I had the monitor for free. A lot of the trim, that's what you would put up false ceilings with. T-molding came from online. What else? Oh, this trim right here, this trim piece for the plexiglass, that's actually paneling molding that people use like in bathrooms. So you can do a lot of simple things. I like the plexiglass top. To drill those holes, you use a soldering iron to start the hole, and then you drill 1 1/8" hole saw backwards, and it just burns a nice hole, and then you can clean it up with a Dremel. So these were medical use potentiometers. I bought them off of eBay. I think they were $7.50 a piece, and they had really nice long shafts, so it was easy to mount them in there. And that's pretty much it. The kids play it all the time. It sits in the living room. That's why it's gray. The wife didn't want it to be black. She said it could be in the house if it was gray, so I went with a Robotron-ish gray. That picture was off of Google too. I really liked it. It's kind of like the Atari 2600 print. The vinyl shop put the same border on it that they used on the control panel overlay, and they also turned this black. I think it was a lighter orange color or something. So they did a little bit of work. I put some plexiglass on it because the 1.5 year old granddaughter, she wanted to peel the sticker off. So nothing fancy. I started out with, it was just an experiment. I used just a plain old 1x8 panel to see if it was even going to work, and then when it did, I went ahead and put an MDF base on it down below. So that's that. Play Warlords. Check out the stuff before 1982. There was a lot going on in the world. Have fun, guys. See you later.